My name is Dr. Kathleen Williams, and I'm the Head of Journalism, Media and Communications here at the University of Tasmania. Social media has become a crucial part of how we communicate. We use it not only to cultivate and maintain our social lives and relationships, but also we use it in our day-to-day decision making. We might use it to communicate with and to rate businesses, to keep up to date with news and entertainment, and arguably to waste countless hours scrolling through the leftovers of everyday life. In media studies, we refer to social media in relation to everyday practices. That is, how we use social media in our everyday lives, and how social media in turn can impact upon how we communicate. In today's clip, I'm going to run through some of the main concerns of using social media, as well as thinking about how we might communicate differently across different platforms. We're constantly hearing about social media fails, when businesses get their social media wrong for their target audience, typically either by not apologising or by oversharing information via social media channels. However, social media also offers up countless opportunities for effective communication, as well as for building and maintaining an audience. Today I'm going to go through some of the principles for using social media for your business and the pros and cons of each major platform. One of the problems we see time and time again in the aforementioned social media fails often comes down to a misunderstanding of the platform that's being used and the audience that it's likely to bring. Firstly, let's turn to the most popular social networking site of which most of you would have experience with. A Facebook presence for a business today is more or less considered a must. Facebook is the most popular social media platform in the Western world and is often thought of synonymously with social networking. While Facebook is likely to provide your largest possible audience, it also provides users many different ways to leave a trace of their interaction with a business or organisation. Your business can be rated by users, have reviews left, have posts put on your business's wall, and anything you choose to post can also be interacted with. Although Facebook users expect to be able to post honest feedback about your business and not have their feedback removed, moderation is also expected. This is a pitfall for many people. Do you remove comments or feedback that's offensive? What should you consider to be offensive? And do you remove dishonest information? Many media academics consider the most important part of moderation to be transparency. If someone has posted a dishonest review, for instance, responding to it in a professional way that takes on necessary feedback is probably best practice. Responding to positive and negative feedback is most likely to make consumers feel as though their feedback is being listened to, and, some would argue, more likely to make someone think about the longevity of their post before they publish it. Remember, the currency of Facebook is sharing. Facebook as a business model relies upon people sharing posts, information about themselves, photos and stories with their immediate and broader network. What might seem a funny but scathing response to an individual consumer could very easily have a life outside of your intended audience. The more left of centre your response is, the more likely it is to have an audience outside of its original network. We've all seen funny responses from major companies who manage to balance irreverence with imparting factual information. The key to the success of these responses is that the information is still there while also showing a bit of personality. This brings us to how to think about the audience when creating content and using social media. When using social media in our day-to-day lives, we encounter posts from a really broad range of sources, from family members, friends, businesses, or other pages. When writing a post or sharing content, imagine who the audience for that post will be. How will they engage and respond to this content? And in what context will they see it? Media scholar Dana Boyd refers to this as context collapse, in which all the different parts of our lives come together in a single space. While the temptation may be to stand out by any means necessary, it's important to stay true to the message that you want to send to consumers and other stakeholders, remembering that not only consumers are watching. Finally, Facebook can be a good central place for all of your social media output, be it videos on YouTube or images on Instagram, or a blog that you update on your website. Facebook is a good way to alert people to new content, as well as to organise and track events or interact with consumers about orders and so on via private message. Make sure that you keep this separate from your personal profile so that the two don't become entwined in your audience's minds. Moving on to Instagram. Instagram is a photo and video focused platform in which the use of hashtags plays a particularly important role. You can access Instagram from a desktop, but you are currently only able to post from the app, which you can access from a smartphone or tablet. The philosophy behind Instagram is that you document and share parts of your day. Although Instagram is often criticised for being nothing but a collection of people's dinners and photos of them, it is also taken very seriously by companies who use Instagram to attract the attention of what are called influencers, people who have a big following on Instagram and will represent the product of a company in a naturalised way. As Instagram focuses on the visual, it's important to have some basic photography skills, or at least it helps. Although you don't need any equipment beyond your phone, you may want to think about framing the image or video you're sharing. There are multiple guides online to improving your photographs, and we've linked to some of these on Milo. The most important part of Instagram, which is the way to get more followers and more people paying attention to your posts, is the hashtag. Hashtags are a way of aggregating information. By clicking on a hashtag, you'll be shown posts from that user or others that have used that hashtag. For instance, hashtag Visit Tasmania is used not only by Tasmanian tourism bodies and other government agencies, but also by individual Instagram users who want their posts to be seen by more people and potentially picked up by tourism bodies and shared more widely. Sharing other people's posts on Instagram is a lot trickier than on Facebook, where it is built into the design of the site. Instead, with Instagram, you'll need to download a third-party application to regram another person's post. It is best practice to check if you can share a post, or only share those that are using your hashtag in a deliberate way. For instance, sharing a post that has used a hashtag like hashtag Tassie Dairy Farmers would be different than someone who is using a hashtag like hashtag milk, which may bring up some hilarious images, but is unlikely to result in meaningful connections or network building. The user who shared that post would arguably not be expected to have their post shared beyond their network, whereas a more clearly targeted hashtag that reflects the location and/or industry of its poster would be more likely to. However, it's also important to pay attention to whether or not people have private or public accounts. It's a really good rule of thumb to never share private content without clear permission from its owner. Moving on to Twitter. Twitter was touted as one of the most important social networks for the first half of this decade. We hear about it in relation to breaking news, and it seems at the moment that we have an entire news cycle dedicated entirely to reporting on what the President of the United States is tweeting. Media scholar Kate Crawford has written about how Twitter can be used to listen to conversations, and this has become a very popular way to study audiences and their opinions. Twitter limits updates to 140 characters and is designed so that you can update very often. The idea being that you would follow enough people to not be inundated with updates from just one person. This is why live tweeting, as it's called, has become such a popular phenomenon. This is when users will report on and react to an event, be it a TV show or a conference, to provide commentary on what's happening, using a hashtag for their conversation to be traceable, and allowing them to interact with others using the same hashtag. Twitter has also been important in terms of users building a campaign, as it is a way to often gain the attention of mainstream media. Again, through the use of hashtags, Twitter users are able to connect their personal tweets to a broader campaign, conversation, or movement. For these reasons, journalists often use Twitter as a way to follow social movements and reactions to events. In the middle of July, when the new Doctor Who casting was announced, for instance, journalists at major newspapers took to Twitter to gain a sense of sentiment within the fan community and more broadly. But does that mean that everyone should use Twitter? For those interested in having lots of political conversations, following journalists and media outlets for updates, or engaging with other stakeholders, Twitter can be an invaluable resource. However, it is becoming less expected for businesses to have a presence on Twitter as it declines in popularity among the broader community. Arguably, we're currently seeing Twitter become more important for niche users. Finally, I'm going to talk about YouTube. YouTube has been the primary video social media platform since 2005. Now owned by Google, YouTube has changed a lot since its launch, responding to various copyright issues and the change in how people use and access the site. YouTube comments are notorious for their irreverence and sometimes complete irrelevance to the video that they relate to. But what does YouTube offer up to a business or organisation? The most common way that we see businesses using YouTube is as a storage for a video that will then be embedded elsewhere, say Facebook or a website, with comments switched off as feedback is sought elsewhere where context can be more clearly provided. As we've explored today, there are numerous benefits to using social media, as well as potential risks and opportunities. When engaging with an audience, the most important thing to remember is that you cannot control their response. Expect the unexpected, but also enjoy the engagement. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this unit.